In the annals of 20th-century photography, the Hungarian-born André Kertész emerges as a luminary who for much of his early career, remained in relative obscurity within the art world. It was only in the 1960s, and later in the 1980s that he received the belated recognition he so rightly deserved. Kertész's enduring legacy rests on his profound contributions to photojournalism, the art of the photo essay, and the mastery of composition. Kertész's work is perhaps best characterized by its sensitivity to the ordinary, an unerring ability to capture the essence of everyday life. Although he considered himself a realist and a documentarian, he was informally affiliated with the Surrealist movement, and drew inspiration from the principles of Cubism. In his early years, Kertész pioneered the use of a compact camera to photograph Hungarian peasants on the streets, defining himself as one of the founders of photojournalism. His snapshots revealed the beauty in life's fleeting moments, elevating the ordinary to the extraordinary. Notably, Kertész played a mentoring role in the careers of iconic photographers such as André Kertész, Robert Capa, and Brassai, all of whom owe a debt to his influence. Born into a Jewish middle-class family, Kertész initially faced familial expectations of pursuing a career in business. However, the outbreak of World War I, in 1914 altered his path, leading him to serve in the Austro-Hungarian army, where his passion for photography blossomed. Paris, with its bohemian culture, beckoned to Kertész, prompting him to establish himself as a professional photographer. He contributed to prominent magazines like Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and House and Garden while showcasing his work in solo exhibitions, including those at the Art Institute of Chicago and the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Kertész's time in Paris marked a purist phase in his artistic journey, exemplified by works like Fork, and Mondrian's Glasses and Pipe in 1926. These pieces solidified his reputation as a photographer with a discerning eye for composition. One of his most iconic works, Underwater Swimmer, created during his convalescence after being wounded in World War I, exemplifies Kertész's fascination with composition and metaphor. This image freezes a moment in time, distorting the ripples in water and, emphasizing photography's power to immortalize transient phenomena, earning it a place among the 20th century's most influential photographs. Kertész's career underwent a transformative shift, when he and his wife relocated to New York in 1952. Here, he turned his lens toward the snow-covered landscapes and silhouettes below his 12th-floor apartment near Washington Square, akin to his earlier exploration of Parisian life. Despite worldwide recognition and exhibition of his work, Kertész grappled with a sense of artistic and professional unfulfillment during this phase of his life. His work often featured prosaic titles, reflecting his preference for emotional impact over technical intricacies. As he once remarked, "I just walk around, observing the subject from various angles until the picture elements arrange themselves into a composition that pleases my eye." In the words of André Kertész, each time André Kertész's shutter clicks, I feel his heart beating. This sentiment encapsulates the profound emotional resonance that pervades Kertész's timeless body of work, where the mundane is transformed into the extraordinary, and the heartbeat of life echoes through every photograph. André Kertész was born on July 2, 1894 in Budapest, Hungary. Kertész was known for his lyrical and formally rigorous photographs of everyday life. One of the most inventive photographers of the 20th century, Kertész set the standard for the use of the handheld camera, created a highly autobiographical body of work, and developed a distinctive visual language. Kertész began photographing in 1912, the same year he took a job as a clerk at the Gyro Bank of the Budapest Stock Exchange. During World War I he served in the Austro-Hungarian army. He saw action and continued taking pictures on the Eastern Front, where he was severely wounded. In 1918 he returned to work at the bank, photographing in his spare time. Because of a lack of opportunities in Hungary, Kertész moved to Paris in 1925, to work as a freelance photographer. His poetic images of Paris street life, often taken from high vantage points, involve unexpected juxtapositions and make frequent use of reflections and shadows. In 1927, Kertész had a well-received show at the Au Sacre du Printemps Gallery in Paris. The following year he participated in the influential First Independent Salon of Photography. His photographs, notable for their blend of a romantic sensibility with modernist attitudes, were frequently cited by critics of the 1920s and 30s as proof that photography could be considered a fine art. Apart from his images of everyday life, Kertész took portraits of luminaries such as Russian filmmaker Sergei Eisenstein, Dutch painter Piet Mondrian, French writer Colette, Belarusian French artist Marc Chagall, French painter Fernand Léger, American sculptor Alexander Calder, and Romanian-born French writer Tristan Tzara. Some of those portraits were made on assignment for the trailblazing French picture magazine Vue, published in 1928 to 1940. Kertész worked as a lead photographer for Vue from its launch until 1936. Among his picture essays were those about a Trappist abbey, the tradespeople of Paris, Lorraine, Burgundy, and other regions of France. He also contributed to Art et Médecine and many other European periodicals. In 1928, Kertész bought a Leica, a small handheld camera that gave him the ability to move more freely within any environment. Although he frequently staked out settings, and patiently awaited the photographic moment, he is considered a pioneering street photographer, a label that implies quickly sizing up and capturing an unfolding situation. Street photographers Henri Cartier-Bresson and Brassai, to whom Kertész taught photography, cited him as an important influence. He also mentored Hungarian-born American photojournalist Robert Capa. Kertész married Hungarian-born painter Rasha Klein in 1928. He taught her photography, and she soon became a respected photographic portraitist known as Rogi André. In 1932 the couple divorced. The following year Kertész married another Hungarian, Erzsébet Salomon, also known as Elizabeth Salomon. Also, in 1933 the humorous, often risque magazine, Le Sourire, commissioned from Kertész a series of nude photographs using distorting mirrors. In the end, he made more than 200 distortions. He continued to use distorting mirrors in his photography intermittently for the next half-century. Kertész traveled to New York City in 1936, on a one-year contract with the Keystone Press Agency. Unhappy with the studio fashion work he was assigned and with life in New York, he soon broke his contract, though financial difficulties and World War II prevented his return to Europe. In 1944 he became a U.S. citizen. From 1936 to 1947, Kertész worked as a freelance photographer for American magazines, including Look, Coronet, Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, and Town and Country. However, some American editors considered his images too poetic and, therefore, unsuitable for their story and layout ideas. In 1947 he signed an exclusive contract with Condé Nast Publications, becoming a staff photographer for House and Garden, under art editor Alexander Lieberman. Although Kertész was well paid, the steady work left him frustrated, in part because it left him little time to pursue his personal projects. He quit Condé Nast in 1962, and soon achieved the public notice and favorable critical reception that had eluded him since his move to the U.S. A solo exhibition at the New York Museum of Modern Art in 1964-65, a Guggenheim Fellowship in 1974, and a retrospective at the Pompidou Center in Paris in 1977-78, were among the honors that ensued. During the 1970s, his images, offered by New York's Light Gallery in limited edition portfolios, helped launch the photography market for private collectors. Kertész continued to make expressive and deeply personal images. He often photographed with a telephoto lens from his apartment overlooking Washington Square. Beginning in 1978, he used a Polaroid camera to create a major series that combined still life with views from his windows, and paid homage to his wife, who had died in 1977. Kertész had major exhibitions at the Israel Museum, Jerusalem in 1980, the Stedelijk Museum, Amsterdam in 1983, and the Art Institute of Chicago, and the National Museum of Fine Arts, Buenos Aires, both in 1985. Posthumous exhibitions of his work include traveling retrospectives organized by the National Gallery of Art, Washington, D.C. in 2005, and the Jeu de Paume, Paris in 2010. André Kertész died at the age of 91, on September 28, 1985, in New York City, after having one of the longest and most prolific careers in photography. He took perhaps more iconic photographs than any other modern photographer. I have always been impressed by the humility and attitude towards life of the great photographers I admire, such as André Kertész. Despite his incredible talent and impressive body of work, Kertész never ceased to consider himself an amateur, someone who continued to learn every day. It is easy to idealize great photographers and see them as unattainable beings, but deep down, they are as human as any of us. They have their concerns, their sufferings, and their problems, just like everyone else. This humility reminds me that creativity and a passion for photography are a constant journey of learning and discovery. What particularly fascinates me about André Kertész is his time in New York, and how he felt like an immigrant in a country that was not his own. As an immigrant myself, I can understand what it's like to be in another country, face loneliness, and adapt to a different culture. Kertész captured that experience in his photos of New York, showing both the beauty and loneliness of the city. His images convey the emotional complexity of living in a fascinating yet sometimes overwhelming and lonely place. Seeing life in the Big Apple through his lens, makes me feel more connected to his immigrant experience and reminds me that, despite our cultural differences, we share universal human emotions and experiences. His life was a black and white poem, a melody of lights and shadows that resonated in the hearts of humanity. His images, small jewels of reality, spoke of life, of loneliness, of ephemeral beauty, and whispered secrets about how to live life. Through his lens, he explored the world around him with a unique sensitivity. He did not settle for the obvious, he sought the essence of things, the depth behind the surface. His photographs were a reflection of his restless soul, of his constant quest for beauty in the everyday. In his hands, a simple wrought iron chair became an elegant sculpture, a fogged window became a mysterious and evocative work of art. Kertész taught us to look with fresh eyes, to find the extraordinary in the ordinary. But what is most impressive about Kertész is not just his technical skill or artistic talent, but his perseverance and unwavering love for photography. Throughout his life, he faced difficulties and challenges, but he never abandoned his passion. Even as the world changed and technology advanced, he remained true to his film camera and unique style. He taught us that authenticity and steadfastness are fundamental in life. Kertész also reminded us of the importance of creative solitude. He spent long moments alone with his camera, exploring the streets of Paris or contemplating the light through his window. He showed us that solitude is not necessarily a negative state but a space where creativity can flourish, where we can get to know ourselves and find our unique voice in the world. André Kertész leaves us a valuable message, that beauty is in the simplest details and that authenticity and perseverance are the keys to forging a meaningful path. He invites us to look beyond the surface, to explore our creativity in solitude, and to embrace life with unwavering passion. André Kertész's humility and his ability to reflect humanity in his work are a source of inspiration. His photos not only document the world around him but also convey his own humanity and personal experiences. His legacy reminds us that photography is a powerful way to connect with the shared emotions and experiences of all of us. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. This way, you'll always stay up to date with all the videos I produce here. Until the next one. See you later.